There we go. So a lot of people don't think of Google Chrome as an app that you can hack, but you can with extensions. So I want to show you a few of the extensions that I like, and so maybe they can resonate with you and you can utilize them in your classroom. So an extension is something you can add up to the top that makes Chrome work for you. So the first extension I want to share with you, so this is the image that you click on and find, is this link right here. It's called Crafty Text, and the icon is the CT. The way I have these set up is if you click on it, it'll take you to the Chrome store, and it'll automatically add it to the top. Now, depending on how your school's set up, it may let you add the extension, or you may need to get permission to add the extension. I don't know how you guys are set up, but you click on it, it'll add the extension. And this is what it does. Let me show you. It puts this little CT up at the top. Now, as a teacher and as a presenter, sometimes I want my audience to see a code, maybe for Google Classroom, or to see a website. And so if I wanted you to see something, I click on the CT, I type in hello, and then I click display, and I click display, and it blows it up. This is great for Google Classroom. And so now the kids can see the Google Classroom code blown up to the screen. But that's not all it does. Let me show you what else it does. So this is the link to this, right? And I know I pasted it into the back channel, but if you didn't have a back channel and you wanted your students or your fellow, somebody in the audience to get to this, you don't want to type https / blah, 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 that whole thing. So what Crafty Text also does is it automatically shortens the URL and blows it up on the screen so anybody can get there. Or it'll shorten it with a QR code. So now it gives the shortened URL, or they can get to it from a QR code. And so you can instantly have people have access to anything you want with the click of that extension. So that one's Crafty Text. Number 2, I hate presenting in the front of the room. And you're like, well, you're in the front of the room right now. It does bother me, but I don't have my wireless set up. But I don't like being up here drawing on the board. I like to be in the back. So how can I turn anything into a digital whiteboard, but from the back? And that's where Page Marker comes in. This little extension right here called Page Marker allows me to overwrite anywhere on my Chrome screen. So it's a different one. So Crafty Text is here, and Page Marker is another one right here. So let's say that I go to my website, Hacking the Apps, and I want to emphasize some of these things, but I'm in the back of the room. All I do is I click on my Page Marker extension, and now I can circle, underline, check mark. And here's the great thing. When you scroll, it follows the scroll. So this is great if you have your kids taking a quiz on Google Forms. They can have this Page Marker extension and mark off the answers that they know are wrong, circle the answers that are possibly correct, put a question mark next to the questions that they need to go back to, and it allows them to scroll up and down and go back over their answers. So using those test-taking strategies but still being digital, utilizing this Page Marker tool. And when you're done, you can clear it and then close it and move on. What about Google Classroom? Does everybody use Google Classroom in here? No? A few? So let's say you're on a website. Let's say you want to share this website right here with your students. How would you do that through Google Classroom? How would you share this website?
Add a link.
Add a link in Classroom, right?
Just copy it, send it out.
So copy this link, go to Google Classroom, create an announcement, paste in the link. So you see all these steps?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a nice extension called, is it Add to Classroom? Yeah, Add to Classroom. The extension is called Add to Classroom. So if I want to send this link to my class, all I do is click that link.
Can you choose more than one classroom to send it to at once, or does it only go to one at a
This one, let me see. That's a good question. So when I click that link, it allows me to select the class. Let's say I want to send it here. Choose the action, assignment, announcement, question. And then I can change it for as many classes as I want. And then all you have to do is say, look at this. And then post it. So now you don't have to copy the link, go to your classroom. It does all of that for you in one click.
Can you save it? Like if you've marked something up as a teacher in the back of the classroom, can you save it?
You can screenshot it.
You can screenshot.
You can screenshot it, and it'll save that. My favorite screenshot tool, I know you can do Snagit, but FireShot.
Yeah.
This extension right here, FireShot, that's the quickest one for me. Okay, now, you may want to use this for now, today, or you may want to use this tomorrow. But let's say we have all these tabs opened up. After this session, how are you going to remember all these tabs? What can you do? What can you do to remember all these tabs that you had opened up? You can screenshot it. One tab. Yep, so that's what I want to show. Anybody use one tab? So one tab is this little filter right here. And when you click on it, it takes all the tabs and puts it into a little section for you. And then you can rename it NH Summit. And now it's saved forever. But there's more you can do with this one. Now, after you come here and you have some teachers that didn't show up, that aren't here, you want to share all these tabs with them, all you do is click on share and then send them this link. And it will give them links to everything that you've been to.
So when it opens up for them, does it just open up like?
It opens it up just like this, and then they can open them up. And if they have their own one tab, it'll have an option that'll restore all tabs and bring them all up for them.
And they don't need to have one tab.
Correct.
To receive it.
With this one, it creates a web page where they can see the links and click on them. This is great for students if they're working on a project and they want to share all the tabs and resources with another student in their group. They one tab it, share it over, boom, they have access to all of it.
And you don't need a Gmail to do that, correct?
This one, you just need to have a Chrome.
But no, it doesn't need, yeah, so you don't need a Gmail account.
Correct. Whenever with these, you don't really need an account, but sometimes some of the features are more useful when they do log in with their Google account. Yeah, and I only have my kids log in with their school Google account, never their personal one, because then I apply with all of our privacy
We just
settings.
don't have those yet. That's
Oh,
what
gotcha.
We're in the process of rolling out, so both our teachers and our students don't have Gmail.
Yeah, so they wouldn't need that. Yeah, they can just add the extensions to the Chrome browser itself without a link to an account.
Perfect, thank you.
Question was there?
You
That was it. Okay. So there's the one tab. Now I'm just going to hit restore. Boom, and it brings back all my tabs that we're working on. Probably with the internet, that was probably a bad idea to close them all. Oh, here's another one. So I have 21 Google accounts. I have lots. I've actually digitized my entire school to where we have lunch detention Google account. We have an after-school detention Google account. It automatically sends out reports to the teachers who send. It's all this, but I had to create a specific email for each one. So, and I monitor all of them because nobody else knows how to do that. But if I want to see reports for all those, I'd have to go to that account, go into my drive, and find that. Go to my. So there is a thing right here, and this one is called Black Menu. And on your picture right here, it's this little one up to the side because I just found it. My friend found it for me. It allows you to search any of your Google accounts from one tab right here. So I can get in, I can just change my account here. It doesn't change it on the actual Chrome, just on the app. And I can search Google accounts from any of my accounts that I have. It's called Blacklink.
Do you have to populate the accounts in?
Nope. You just sign in with one.
So how does it know the other one?
Oh, so yeah, you do add in your accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, you do add in your accounts. Yes. But then once you do, you just click on it, boom, you have access to it.
Perfect, thank you.
So that one is Black Label. Just found that one. Really like it.
It says Black.
Oh, menu. I'm thinking of, that's what I'm thinking of. Yes, Black Menu. Black Menu. Yeah, not Black Label. Yes, that's for the later thing that we're doing. All right. So and you can go back and check some of the other Chrome extensions that I have. Here's a color picker one. The reason I found this one is because I have a principal that whenever we make a website, he wants everybody's colors to be exactly the same as our school website. And what this does is it creates a little picker that you go to any web page, click on the color, and it gives you the hashtag. And then you can custom make that color in Google Paint, Google Draw, all these other things. So that's what that color picker is. These next two I want to show you because it's part of my hacking YouTube. Anybody use YouTube? Yeah, is YouTube blocked? Anybody have YouTube blocked? Okay, good. So YouTube is very useful, right? But here's the problem. How do you know the kids are getting out of it what you want them to get out of it? That's the problem. Like, yeah, they can watch it, but did they learn anything? How are you going to get them to explain what they've learned? So there's two nice little extensions that actually turns YouTube into a great resource for you to check on their learning. And one of them is called TurboNote. It's that little one down on the bottom. Let me show you what this one does. If I go into YouTube, and let's say I search Adams. And here we go, Nucleus. Or, you know, what is Adams Basic for Kids? Let's click on this. So I could send this to my students, have them watch it, ask them a couple questions, but how do I know they're actually getting something out of it? So I say, I want you to watch this YouTube video, take notes on it. Well, how can you take notes on a YouTube video? With TurboNote. All they do is open the video, click TurboNote, and all they do, let's say at this moment, oh, electrons are negative. It creates the note and the timestamp of where it's found in the video. And then they can share this with you to see what they've done. They can go back and review it, and they click on electrons are negative. Where did I see that at? They click on it. It will take them back to that part of the video.
Does it launch the video for them, or they have to do that?
So what I do is I put the link to the video in Classroom, and then in the video, they click on their TurboNote.
But if they're going back to the TurboNote, so say a week later, they want to go back and look at that study for.
Oh, then they won't have to go to the video. In TurboNote, it saves all the videos, all the notes.
Perfect.
They click on it, it will open up the YouTube video.
Not for them. Okay.
Does anybody use Edpuzzle in here? Edpuzzle. Anybody never heard of Edpuzzle before? So everybody's heard of it? So Edpuzzle actually allows you to turn any video into an assessment. So you can stop the video at any moment, ask a multiple choice question, stop the video at any moment, add a free response question, stop the video at any moment, put in an audio note saying, hey, I know you're not paying attention, but these next 2 minutes are really important. So stop doing what you're doing and watch these next. So it really emphasizes it. But here's the problem with Edpuzzle. I'll watch a YouTube video and be like, oh, that'd be a great video to show my class. I got to turn that into an Edpuzzle. Then I go home and what do? I forget the video. I didn't bookmark the video. I didn't save the video. And then I don't have it in my Edpuzzle. So there's an extension called Edpuzzle. So if you look at this little thing right here, it's called Edpuzzle extension. And what it does is it adds another button to your YouTube video. So now I go, oh, this would be a great video to assess my kids on. Now all I have to do is click Edit with Edpuzzle. It automatically bumps me into my Edpuzzle account, which is free, by the way. Doesn't cost any money. And it takes me into my editing screen automatically. I can cut the video down to only go I can shorten it at the beginning, shorten the end. I can add my questions. I can add my audio notes. And if you don't have time at that moment, you just click save. And it'll now put this little button in your library that says to edit. So at least you have that button now to edit later.
Have you had any problems using this with the quality of the video when the kids open it up? I've only done it a couple times, but the few times that I've done it, the quality on the video downgrades, and so they can't get what they need to get out of it.
I've never had that issue. That might be a bandwidth issue, but I've never had that issue.
It might have just been that video too, wasn't high enough resolution.
Maybe.
But, or ones that I was looking at, but I just, so you had no problem.
I've had no problem. I've had some problems where maybe the video itself doesn't play on the Edpuzzle because maybe that video was blocked. Because we block YouTube, except that we have control to unblock it per video. And so maybe the teacher made the Edpuzzle but forgot to request it to be unblocked.
No, it plays. It's just
The quality's just downgraded.
So it's making apps. You can't see what pieces they're dragging.
Oh, that might just be the quality of the video. You might want to just double check that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does this only work with YouTube videos or?
No,
Okay.
you can also upload your own videos.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
You can upload your own videos. And the great thing about Edpuzzle, it is, let me show you. I'll be showing this tomorrow during my Google friendly apps. But it actually, here's your content right here. It actually lets you, when you create, upload any video that you own. You can upload any video that you own. You also, if you check with your library media specialist and see what copyrights you have on your videos, sometimes it says any use for school purposes only on campus. You can actually turn that video into a digital video, upload it to here, and show your kids the video through Edpuzzle, which has really changed my class because now instead of the kids, not looking at the screen and falling asleep at their desks, they have to watch it because it gives you a progress screen on how many right, how many wrong, when they're doing it, who's far along, who's hanging back. It really helps give you good analytics.
Now, I've used Edpuzzle, but never, could you take a movie that you have, like a foreign language movie that the kids are watching, and put an Edpuzzle within that, and then save it?
As long
have any length? Okay.
there is no length. So my teachers and I go, how do these people make money? I mean, because there used to be another company called Zaption,
Yes, I
right?
remember
And if you
that.
wanted to upload your video, you had, I think, 2 hours of free upload time. And if you wanted more, you had to purchase more. I mean, that was a good model. They let you upload whatever, whenever, however. The money portion comes in, and I've talked to these guys, and I guess it's okay, is whenever your teachers sign in, it asks you for what school are you in, and it actually creates a school account for you. And you can go in and go, I wonder what Pete is doing in science. So I click on science, I find Pete, and there's all of his videos. And I can use them. So he makes them, and I benefit from them. But you can only, for the free version, you only get 5. And then after that, you can't do that anymore. The pay version, I think it's like $50 per teacher per year. You can have unlimited sharing and
You
copying.
can
And
use
stuff
it
like that.
without his permission.
Yep. Sharing is caring.
So he's giving, no, that's the price. You're giving up your copyright for what you're doing, the questions you're creating, the assessment, the puzzle that you're creating.
Correct.
It's probably in the-
Yeah. But once again, if you're using any videos that your school owns, you definitely want to check with your library media specialist to check on the copyrights. If it says one use, one time, one device, then you can't do that. You can't do that.
What about having students in the videos? If it's something the student created,
Yeah, the students can upload it from you. They can upload it to YouTube, or they can directly upload it to this.
but then you don't worry about somebody else then can take it and has that.
Well-
For educators, so really, it's kind of safe. But
No, make it private, in other words. You can't.
you
keep
can't
it
make it private. You can't protect the.
So any video that you make, unless you link it to your school, it is private. It doesn't go to the Edpuzzle community. So no person in the Edpuzzle community can find his videos. Only if you belong to Alta Sierra could you find these videos.
So only the teachers within your
Correct.
school could use the video that was created by that
Correct.
student.
So,
without
like-
you knowing about it.
So if you guys wanted to see what we're doing, you wouldn't be able to because you don't belong to our school. Yeah, and then our stuff isn't public in the Edpuzzle public. It's all private.
Do you get a notification that someone is using your, like when you use Pete's video, does he get a notification? So in theory, it could pop up in another class where a kid sitting there doesn't know that they're being projected on the screen.
Oh, but I don't put kids' faces on.
No,
this.
but I'm saying if it was So you don't want something that the kids produce to go up there.
Yeah, I use something else for that, and I'll share that with you. All right, so that's Edpuzzle. I'll go more into depth on that when I do my thing tomorrow, but I just want to show you this hack because it helps me get my Edpuzzles ready and not have to remember which videos I want to do. So speaking of what you're talking about, how can we get more of that kind of video, privacy, student shared? And that's with something called Flipgrid. Has anybody used Flipgrid before? Yes? Yes?
What is it?
Flipgrid. So let me show you.
I'm actually using it with teachers this summer.
Yes, that's great for PD.
Flipgrid.
Flipgrid.
Oh, it's not.
So in fact, if you want to create an account, you create a free Flipgrid 1 account. And then I'll give you my code, which is just Joe Marquez, all one word, all uppercase, and it will bump you up to the pay version for free. But let me show you how I hack Flipgrid. So if you've never seen Flipgrid before, it is a video response system. So instead of having the kids type, let's say, a conclusion to a lab report, they have to verbally speak it, and they're being recorded, their response. And the reason this stood out to me so well when I first started using it is because my kids who would normally take 3 minutes to write a conclusion were spending 40 minutes on their conclusions. And I was going around, and what I was seeing is they would read their 3-sentence conclusion, read it, listen to themselves, go, that's not good enough. They'd go back, they'd rewrite it, they'd re-record, that's not good enough. So it would force them to go back because they're watching themselves, and they knew that all their fellow students can watch their responses. And because that equity was there, they wanted to make sure it was perfect. And so a grid is a class, right? So if you have like 5 periods, you'd have 5 grids. That's what a grid is. And within the grid, you have your assignments. So our first assignment, when I first started doing this, was I'm going to try to see if they can explain to me the different parts of a wave. So I created a grid. I created a topic, which is an assignment. And I had the kids say what the different parts of a wave are. And what it does is it creates a grid of all the students' faces. And you can have the kids respond. So I click on Jillian. And she's now explaining to me the different parts of a wave. Now you can't hear it because I have my HDMI plugged in to VGA, which doesn't have sound. And yeah, but she's explaining all the different parts of the grid. The kids can click on the like button. The kids can now even leave a reply saying what they liked about her response. So now they're learning to communicate with each other using citizenship. And so this is a great opportunity to emphasize correct ways to present yourself in an educational setting. So this is the traditional way Flipgrid is meant to be used.
They can all watch each other.
Correct. But what I found is, wait a minute, we can do a lot more with this. And so what I found was that a Flipgrid, and in fact, I'm going to actually shoot one out to you just so you can see what it would look like on the student end. So let me go into my grids. Let's see if I have one called Tech Sessions. I'm going to call this one New Hampshire Summit. So I click New Topic, NH Summit. In the description, this is where you would write your assignment. I'm just going to write down, say hello.
It's cool that you can do that with a video instead.
Yeah, so if you have kids, especially little kids who are having a hard time reading, you can give a verbal video of what you want them to complete in the assignment. Or you can upload a YouTube video. So now that's another way to hack YouTube. Upload the YouTube video and then say, watch this YouTube video, then give me a verbal response about what you've learned. So that's another thing you can do. I'm just going to go from there. I leave everything the way it is. Active means the kids can record and respond to each other. Replies to responses means you leave that open. I highly recommend you leave that open. Video views, the kids love that because it shows you how many times they've been watched. Some kids will watch their own video 50 times to say, hey, look, I've been watched 50 times. You don't have to do anything with email responses, so turn that off. Video likes, once again, it's like social media. If you like the video, you click like. There is no down thumb. It's only like. And then freeze. If you want all the recording or responses to stop, you click freeze. It doesn't delete anything. It just means you can't reply, you can't create, the assignment's over, but you still have access to all the responses. So that's there, and then we hit create topic. And then you got it. And then you can share this in multiple ways. Putting a URL in Google Classroom, clicking on Google Classroom and assigning it right through Google Classroom, embedding it on a website, or giving them a QR code. This is great for stations. If you have stations around the room and they have a QR reader on their phone or tablet, boom, every station they have a verbal response. It works out really, really well. I'm gonna actually just give you the URL. I'm gonna post it in our summit right there, boom. There we go, so there it is. And if you click on it, you should see this. Adjust the topic, here's the instructions, and a big old plus button. So what do you think you do with the plus button? Just click it. Loads it up. If it's the first time you've used it, it'll say, is it okay to use your camera? Is it okay to use your microphone? You say yes. And then all you do is click this. 3, 2, 1. Hello. You know what I did there? I didn't hit next. What did I hit? Stop. Pause. Anybody remember Vine? Right? So you can have the kids create Vine videos. So I just said hello. Now I'm going to step here. What do you think about Flipgrid? Pause. I'm going to come over here. I think it's great. Hit pause. Yeah, it's really good. Now I hit next, and now watch what we've created. It's better when there's sound. But imagine now you can have kids interviewing historical figures, but by themselves. Have them do the interview question, pause, have them dress up, answer, have them go back. But that's creativity. So we started doing that. I'm like, wait a minute. We can do stop motion. So I had my students, and then when you're done, you click next, and it says snap a selfie. This is another thing I trained my kids on, being professional. So I was getting kids doing that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not going to grade it if you give me that kind of thing. So they have to be professional when they snap a selfie. And then next, type in their first name. I only have them type in their last initial and submit the video. And boom, it adds to the grid. And you can watch it and reply to it as much as you want. Okay? Here is a stop motion that we did.
Can they edit?
That's the thing, that they can't edit.
You can redo.
They can redo, like they watch it and go, oh, I want to redo it. They can re-record, but they can't go in and edit little portions.
If they re-record, does it just become another grid? So they would have 2 grids instead of 1?
If they re-record, it overwrites their first recording.
Okay. So if they say if they like somebody else's answer better, they were watching like.
Oh, then they can record another response, but their other response would still be up there.
So they'll both show up.
Correct. Yeah. So let me go back to. I deleted that. Let me show you one of my stop motions that we did. Stop motion, Earth seasons. Let's do these guys. So just by using Clay and the record, pause, record, pause, record, pause, they were able to create a stop motion video on the Earth seasons and the moon phases. And they'd never done stop motion before. I had them watch a YouTube video on how to create a stop motion, and this is what they came up with. So they did a pretty good job. They're more interested in their title than when they actually got to the actual assignment. But hey, it was the first time we tried it. I showed this to Flipgrid, like, you can do that? Well, yeah. So, I mean, that's something that they never thought of.
So they sent you a case of stickers.
Oh, they invited me out to their Minneapolis hub. I couldn't go, but they invited me out to share this with everything. I did a webinar for them with all the ways that you can hack the grid, is what I called it. But what you were asking me earlier is, well, what about student created videos? So when I was talking to you earlier about when I had my kids do the Green Screen Planet commercials and they did the WeVideo editing, what I forgot to tell you was they then uploaded their videos to Flipgrid. And so when they uploaded their videos, whoops, not that one. They uploaded their Planet commercials. And now we have all of our students' commercials in one location, and the kids can watch them and reply to them.
What did you use to film that? Which one?
I used my my iPad with Do Ink, an app called Do Ink. It's only $2.99.
D-U-E?
D-O-I-N-K.
Thank you.
And it's an octopus. Purple octopus is their icon.
Now, I know that when you do a response, you only have a certain amount of time. When you upload, is there a size?
When you upload, no, there's no time limit when you upload. If you want the kids to respond, you as the teacher have the option 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute, 30 seconds, up to 3 minutes. You don't want anything longer than that on a student response, or else you're going to be sitting there forever watching them all. But you can see, you know, all the things that we use were free except the WeVideo. I mean, sorry, the Do Ink. The WeVideo was free. The Google background was free. The Flipgrid is free. All of it was free. The only thing that we had to pay for was the $2.99 Do Ink app on my personal iPad.
What does WeVideo do?
WeVideo is an online video editing software. Think of iMovie, but for Chromebooks.
Oh.
And it's all web-based, so there's nothing to download. And then the free version allows kids to have up to 5 minutes of video a month.
Does that have teacher accounts?
You
Or
can.
Is it just?
You can do a teacher account and then add kids to your class so you can monitor, but that's part of the pay version of WeVideo if you wanted to do it that way. But so when you were talking about can you upload kid videos into Edpuzzle, I use this because this is the best way for my kids to watch each other. And I have my kids always respond to things they did well and one thing that they should change the next time. They always give that criticism, but they always give the compliments first. And so that's the way we train our kids. And then finally, I was like, well, I want to know what they've learned, so I want to start screencasting. So we started having the kids screencast in the guise of, hey, if you have a friend that doesn't understand how the Earth has its seasons, I want you to go through our presentation and I want you to explain it in your own words to your friend, how you would get them to understand the Earth seasons. And so what we used is an extension called Screencastify. Screencastify is free. It allows up to 15 minutes of screen recording at a time. You don't want any more than 5 for your kids, but it allows up to 15 at a time. And it saves it to their Google Drive, which you can then upload to Flipgrid. And so we have our kids actually coming in here, recording the way that they would teach the seasons. And they're using the pen to just emphasize and write over and do stuff on it. And so we're really going to get into this with math next year so that the kids can show each other how they solve the problem. Because we all know there's multiple ways to solve problems, but kids are better reflecting of how kids learn.
Do any of these allow you to export the video out in like an MP3 format?
So you can export on a Screencastify. You as the teacher can export the videos off of Flipgrids.
Oh, cool.
Students can't, but you can download the videos your students create if you wanted to. And Flipgrids are private to you, and you can put them as a password if you want to say privacy. But here's another way you hack Flipgrid. If you want to get connected with another teacher, you can have your kids respond to a grid, share that grid with another teacher, and that teacher shares the grid with their kids, and they reply to your students. So I have Spanish teachers and French teachers who have their kids connect with a group of kids in France and Spain who are learning English. And so our kids have a grid asking questions in Spanish, and their kids respond in English. So they're helping each other out. And the great thing about Flipgrid is time zones don't matter because it's all done when the class is ready, not when your class is going to connect.
When you create your grid, if you have taught 5 classes a day, would you create 5 grids?
Correct,
And
I
then
would.
share them back and forth so that they could see each other?
Yes. Yeah. And so we also have classes that do debates. And so we have one class who is, let's say we're doing Civil War. One class does a debate on pro-Union, why the Union is correct. Another class is pro-Confederate, why the Confederates were correct. And then they share grids and they have to reply and counter-argue in the replies. It's a great way to connect classes without having to worry about the teachers are on the same time scale. You can do it at any time. And in fact, Flipgrid goes, hey, that's a great idea. We should have an actual tab. And they did now. They have a tab called Connections. Connections where teachers have already posted a grid, their students have already responded, and your students can go in and leave replies to those students' responses. They're getting professionals now to answer student questions as well, because the professional can go in when they're ready and reply to their grids. I know Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be answering some in this next school year, and a couple more stars that the kids like. I know, like Ryan Gosling or something, and they're going to be answering student questions off of Flipgrid.
Can kids individually share their grid, what they do, like with parents or grandparents or that type of
When you create the grid, it gives you the option for social media. If you leave that option open, they can share it out on their social media platform, just their video. But if you leave that off, which I do, they won't be able to do that. I like to kind of keep it
I agree,
secluded. But you would just turn that off, and they wouldn't be able to share
You
it.
could download it and send it to them.
Yes.
Wherever you want.
Yeah.
Could you put it on a school webpage if, like, a science project that the kids did it?
Yeah, I can embed a grid onto a web page where people can view but not reply.
Okay.
Yep. So that's one way that I use Flipgrid, and a lot of the ways the company didn't even think about. That's what hacking these things are. It's taking it and bending it to what works for your kids, not the way that they intended it, but the way that you intended it to be done. All right. We have only 20 minutes left. Dang it. All right. Let me look back at our hacking. Let's see what else you would like. Does anybody use Newsela?
Yeah.
Or Newsela, however you want to say it, right? Do you guys have the free account or the pay account? Free. So on the free account, remember, you can still give quizzes and you can give questions, but it's class-based. Like you see the class scores, you don't get to see individual student scores. So I found a way to kind of hack Newsela so you don't have to pay for it, but you can still add in all those pay-for features for free using Google. So I want to show you how I do this. And I want you to be reminded, everything we're doing is being recorded. So like if you're like, oh, how did he do that again? You can ask, absolutely. But if you want to wait till later, you can always fast forward to this part, like right here, this part right here. You can fast forward and then you can rewatch this. So let me go into Newsela.
As far as the Flipgrid paid one, do you just put your name as the?
Oh, yeah. I forgot to show you. Yeah, so if you're in Flipgrid and you create an account, you go up to your name up here. You go to account and you click on upgrade to Flipgrid Classroom. And then you type in your school, your location, all that stuff. And on the very next page, it'll say $65, but then it'll show coupon code. You type in Joe Marquez, all uppercase, all one word, and it'll take that $65 and put it down to 0. And you'll get a free account for Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid 1 lets you have one grid. That's why it's called Flipgrid 1. The Flipgrid Classroom, unlimited grids. You can always hack Flipgrid by, when it asks for the student's name, the first name you put down your period, and the last name you put down your first name. So then you can, separate out by period. So that's one way to hack. But
Did you say it was all one word, all lowercase?
all one word, all uppercase. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me. And if you forget, on my website right here, it says, let me give you an upgrade. And it says Joe Marquez. That's the code right there. So Newsela. If you've never seen Newsela before, it has articles for students of current events for every subject. So let's say we want to learn about alligators. No alligators.
2 L's.
Oh. You think it would say, do you mean? Okay,
Right.
so here we go, alligators. Well, let's go science. We don't need sport. We'll probably kill alligators. So the biggest thing about Newsela is not only does it give you a current event article, but it lets you change the lexicon level off to the side. So if you have 8th graders, but they're not very strong in reading, you can always lower the lexicon level a little bit so that they can feel more successful and start building up. Or if you have really good high-level readers, you can change the lexicon level to max if you wanted to. I'm going to leave it at 8th grade. And this is the way you have it. You click this print button. We're not going to print through a printer. We're going to article only. We're going to print via PDF. So I'm just going to download it as a PDF. So I download it. Crocodile's good. Under download's good. And then we're going to save it. All right. So there we go. So we've downloaded the PDF. Now all we do is we go into our drive. I click new, and I upload that file to my Google Drive. I upload the crocodiles. There we go. So I now have my crocodiles in here, and right-click on the file. Where'd it go? Right here. You right-click on the file. Come on. Open with Google Docs. And it will automatically turn that PDF into a Google Doc. Everything that you wanted from that article is there. You do want to do a few cleanup marks. Sorry, I'm hard-lined in and it's still super slow.
So Newsela doesn't allow you to print?
You can print them out, but what I want to do is I want to see them annotate in real time. I want to see them be able to annotate in real time. So I create this into a Google Doc. I clean it up a little bit to get rid of all those spaces. Notice it automatically creates an outline off to the side. So if I tell my kids, okay, we're going to read The Nature of the Beast, they click on it and boom, it takes them right to that portion, The Nature of the Beast. I always, after every single paragraph, I create a table. Insert table, 2 columns, and I write summary. And they have to give me a summary after every paragraph. And so I do that for each one. And then what I have them do is I have an add-on called just Highlight Tools by Jason Chin. There's a couple highlight tools. The one by Jason Chin is the easiest one to use. And it creates this little tool off to the side that allows you as a class to come up with colors and what the meaning of the colors mean. So all of our new words they've never heard before are going to be highlighted red. All the science words they have learned before are going to be highlighted blue. And then all the sentences that have the main topic, they're going to highlight yellow. And I can see all of this happening in real time. That's what I want. In technology, it has to fit a 3-tiered model for me. I have to, at any moment, be able to inspect my student work. At any moment, I need to see if they're doing it correctly. I need to be able to redirect them if they're doing it wrong. And I have to be able to give them time to make the corrections so that they know that what they did was wrong and how to correct it. I call it the inspect, redirect, make correct model. And it works. And this allows me to watch them write their summaries in real time, do their highlights in real time. And if you did it in Newsela, you wouldn't be able to see that. You get to see it after the fact, not during. And we know after the fact is too late. And so, but watch what this highlight tool does. Let's say they heard of Florida. They just hit the blue. Boom. Scientists, they've heard of scientists. They highlight. Boom. And so they're just going through and they're highlighting all the words that are old words that they know. They're highlighting all the main sentences. That we know. Now, the first time they do this, they'll highlight everything. And I tell them, you know, girls, if you go and get highlights and all they do is color your hair red, do you have highlights? No, you just changed your hair color. So I tell them, if you highlight everything, you're just changing the color of the font. You're not actually highlighting anything. Now, you're like, oh, this is all well and good, but you could just do that with the regular tools up here. But here's what, this is where the magic happens. When you export the highlights by color into the document, watch what happens. It automatically creates a table of all the old words that they've selected and all the main topics, all categorized for you. And so you can have the kids do this and see if there's any similarities between students all the way through. And once again, the whole purpose of this is so I can see if they're doing their annotations correctly, if they're getting the idea of the main topics, and we can start sharing, you know, do we have the same main topics all the way across the board? So I can start bringing up things and ask, why would this not be considered a main topic? Well, because they're talking about trees in the main topic, and our main topic is crocodiles, that kind of stuff. So we can be sharing each other out. So that's one way to hack Newsy LA, get the pro features without having to pay any money. Any questions on that one? Okay. All right, let's do some. Has anybody ever done Nearpod before? Nearpod 1? Anybody else? Nope. 2? Okay, let me show you a quick Nearpod, and then I'll show you how I hacked it. This is another one that has a free version and a pay version. This is the only thing I've ever asked my principal to buy for the pay version, the only thing. And it's because of the collaboration features the pay version has for us. Plus, in California, the average class size for our school is 38. Okay, so the free version only allows you to have up to 30 kids at a time on it. So if you have more than 30 kids, you might want to upgrade to the pay version. But basically, it's like PowerPoint on steroids because you can instantly assess student work at any moment via any kind of assessment. So let me show you one that I've made right here. Let's do this one. So you have the option of doing two things. Live lesson, where I control your screen. I move you on when I'm ready to move on. You don't get to do any of that. Or student paced. You give the kids the power to move on when they're ready and to go back if they want to and take their time on it. These are the two different versions. I'm going to do the live version at the moment. Let me actually duplicate this. There we go. So I'll click live. So it opens up a session. Now your kids can go to nearpod.com and type this code in where it says join. You can send it to Google Classroom, so all they got to do is click the link and boom, they're in. Or you can put a link somewhere. I'm going to put the link in our today's meet, or you can go to nearpod.com and type in that code. But I'll grab the link, post it in our today's meet. So if you want, you just click on that link right there. Oh, the code is right here. QLJNC. And I can start seeing students joining right off to the side. Now, here's the cool thing. If you're on this, look at your screen. It should say our solar system. When I'm ready to move forward, you all move forward. You can't go backwards. When I'm ready to move forward, you move forward. When I'm ready to give you an assessment, you have to take the assessment. So if you logged in, go ahead and see if you can answer any of these questions. And you don't have to be, 100% right, but just try and click. And so I can see that Sandy's working. I can see Scott's working. I can see everybody else hasn't started yet, but I can start seeing all of it. Now I see everybody starting. Now, some of you may be saying, well, are the answers going to appear right here? Yeah, they will. But if I want to turn them off, all I have to do is click on the showing names. And I click on this. And it blocks all the answers off and the students' names off. but it still shows me the progress chart. I can see all these people have gotten it right, a few answers are wrong, and half haven't been answered yet. So I can still see this progress going as we're moving forward. And then just for time's sake, I'm going to hit share, pretend everybody's done. You instantly get to see what your answers were, if you got them right, if you got them wrong. And I usually tell my students, if you got a green pizza, you did a great job. If you got a green Pac-Man, you're still doing good. If you have a red Pac-Man, you have some work to do, right? Question?
I was just gonna ask about, you can have up to, for the free version, you can have up to 30.
30 kids at a time.
And you can create the quizzes?
And you can create the quizzes.
And then as a teacher, do you get the
all the analytics in real time, and it saves it as a report when you're done. And that's the free version,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, if you don't need more than that, then you don't need anything else. And when I'm ready to move forward, everybody moves forward. You can also play videos, and it asks you, do you want the video only to play on my screen or on everybody's screen? I always say everybody's screen, and I tell my kids, if you want to watch the video on your own, you need your earbuds off, but one earbud in, one earbud out. But if you want to watch it here and on your screen, turn off your sound because you'll get that reverb. I click all devices, and then we'd hit play. So if the Wi-Fi was working fine, you would see this playing on my screen and your screen. And guess what? If the kids want to watch it again, well, when I move forward, you move forward. They just added this, and oh, that's a YouTube video.
Can they only get to it in your class while you're presenting it?
The live, yes, but you can also post the student paste after the fact so they can go back and review it, which I always do. And I post the student paste on my website so my parents can review it whenever they want to help their kids out. This is a 3D object. Kids, so we're looking at Mercury. They know, I could tell them all day long about Mercury, but if they come in here, they can actually spin Mercury around. They can zoom in on Mercury and see what it looks like. And many of them say, how come it looks like the moon? Oh, that's a great opportunity to talk about atmosphere. It's a great opportunity to talk about meteorite hits. It's a great opportunity to see, why don't we have so many pockmarks? Oh, we have an atmosphere. You know, asteroids burn up. We have weather that erodes. So we can talk about all this stuff about changes. It's a great time to do that. So what if you guys did ask right now, how come that's like the moon? Would I say we don't have time to talk about that? No, when the kids are asking questions, they're inquisitive. That's the time to become malleable. Bend your lesson to the will of your students. So I can say right now, fine, add activity, open-ended question. Why does this look like the moon? Share. When the question arises, why not let the kids give me their thoughts? And boom, now you all have this question, and now you can all give me your thoughts.
When you found the 3D, was that a part of the website, or did you have to go out and find it?
So when I created this, when I click on add activity, 3D object is an option.
So they have that pre-populated?
Oh, they have all of it pre-populated. All the planets, they have all like the Eiffel Tower, all the main buildings in the world. They have atoms, they have cells, everything in the 3D objects. And then so you're answering these questions, and here's a great thing. I can come in here and I can share it. Oh, that's a great answer, right? Or, oh, that's a good answer. What would make this answer great? So we can learn the difference between an unacceptable answer, a good answer, and a great answer, so that they learn what I'm looking for when they're responding.
And they don't know who
Nope, because I turned off the names. I know who they are. When you have your report, you'll know who they are. But in that moment, the kids don't know who they are. So they're not ashamed, right? And it's the kids that tell us what can make that a better answer. The kids are helping each other out, right? It's that open communication that combines social media. This is social media. They're being social with media, right? And then also verbal. So they're melding their two worlds at once. And then when I'm ready to move along, all I do is I go ahead and move along. Close the activity, and then move forward. So I'm being malleable. Here's another thing. You heard that buzzword expeditions, right? Google Expeditions, Google Expeditions. Has anybody looked in to see how much it costs for a Google Expedition kit? $10,000 for a Google Expedition kit. Because most schools, it won't work on your Wi-Fi. So you have to get your own router and Wi-Fi hotspot. And then they give you all the little phones and everything. It's a lot of stuff. But if you have your kids bring their own phones in and you buy a stack of Google Cardboards, which are like $5 a piece, you can actually do Google Expeditions. Well, a fake version of Google Expeditions right off of Nearpod. Let me show you. Here's the next click right here. So on your screen, taking you to one of the best places on earth. Anybody know where this is? Yellowstone. And now look, I can spin this. I can look up and down. I can look all around. I can zoom in. I can zoom out. I can look at the pools and see what's going on down there. I can look at the girl that fell into the pool right here. Half her body's gone, right? So if they're doing this on their tablet, it becomes a window. They can do this and look around that way. If they're doing it on a phone, there'll be a little cardboard icon. They can click on it, throw it into their viewer, and look around like this. And you direct them. All of these come off of a website called 360cities.net, but you do it right from Nearpod. You click New Activity VR Field Trip, and it has all these pre-made. All you do is type in Italy. Boom. It gives you every image of Italy you possibly could ever imagine. 360cities.net. But you don't have to go there. You just go right through Nearpod. It'll put them in. So you can do your own VR field trip at no cost, just by using Nearpod and putting down the things that you want. They even have.
So you just search?
Yep. Yeah. So when I'm going to show how to create a Nearpod tomorrow, but it's create new activity VR field trip. And then it brings up a window. You type in what you're looking for, and it brings up every image that they have for that specific location. But here's the thing. Even stuff like the moon, they have VR experiences for. They take all the NASA photos, stitch them together, and now you have a VR 360 of the moon. Right there. This is what my kids were looking at in those pictures I showed this morning. They did not want to leave the moon. And in fact, you can't really walk through it, but some of my kids were actually doing this. They thought they could walk through. I didn't tell them they weren't really walking through it, but it's so easy to hack this to make this work. Let me show you one more hack with this. Differentiation. Every kid needs to be successful. And so the question we always have to ask ourselves is, what are you going to do for those kids that get it? But what are you going to do for those kids that don't? Right? You don't want to go into a small group with kids that don't get it and then leave the higher learners with nothing to do, and vice versa. And so I found a way to do something called the Inception model in Nearpod. It's something that I do, and if you've ever seen that movie Inception, where it's a dream within a dream, you can do a Nearpod within a Nearpod. It does take a little bit of pre-planning. So what I do, whenever I present a lesson, I go, what if somebody gets it and what if somebody doesn't? I always have two extra lessons, a higher version and a lower version. And what I do is this. I have another Nearpod library tab open with all my stuff. And so what if I need a lower version of the moon? The kids want to know a little bit more about the moon. All I do is I click on student paste, launch new student paste. I click the link. To my Nearpod, and under activities, send them to a website. So I'm sending them to the Nearpod within the Nearpod. So now everybody that's attached to this lesson should be prompted to go somewhere else, and you should now be in another Nearpod. And I would tell my students, you have 15 minutes to go through this Moon Nearpod on your own, and they'll go through. And they can go forward, they can go back, they can watch videos over and over. And then guess what happens when the 15 minutes are over? I click close activity, and it brings everybody back to our linear presentation again. If I wanted them to go to two different Nearpods, I would open up two student pastes, and I would say, okay, on the next screen, you're going to be prompted to put in a code. If you know the material and you want to learn more, type in this code. If you need a little bit more help, type in this code, and I give them 2 codes. And then now you have the linear, differentiated, and guess what happens after 15 minutes? Bring them back to the linear one again. So it easily allows for differentiation within a singular lesson. Yes, it does take a little bit of pre-planning, but that's one of the things you can do with your department. I'm going to do the actual lesson. Can you please make one for those who need extra help? And can you do one for those who get it? So let's do a little bit more extension exercises. And so by working in a team, it doesn't really take all that much. And then you just save it in a folder, share it out with your group, and boom, you all have access to it.
And Nearpod is not an extension.
Nearpod is a website.
It's a website, so it doesn't matter whether our district lets them have it.
Correct. And it's fully compliant with all the laws because the kids don't have to log into it. They just type in the code. Yeah. So I think that's our time. This Hacking the Apps is actually a 3-hour session. I actually recorded my session that I did in ISTE. I did a 3-hour workshop at ISTE on this. And so I'll post that for you as well. That has everything that you see on my blog, step by step, how to do it, all these things in it. As always, if there's anything you want to try, anything that I've talked about, this whole session was recorded, but please tweet me, email me, do whatever you need to do. Ask me questions. We can Google Hangout together. I'll share my screen. We'll work things out so that you can be comfortable doing this in your classroom. But once again, the only way that we get better is by sharing and caring with each other. And so that's what I completely want to do. If you want to try Nearpod you want to do some science stuff, but you want to see some pre-made stuff, email me. I'll send you some of my pre-made stuff. You could try them out and edit them and add things to them whenever you want. That's our time for today. I know it's a long day. I know our heads are about to explode, right? But we're going to be going to our ending session right now, giving away some prizes, doing some throwdowns out there. And thanks for coming. Thanks for learning. Thanks for being a teacher. Everybody, you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
About formative, because you didn't cover it.
Oh, yeah.
This one.
Actually, let me end the session real quick. Hangout, stop broadcast.